You know those moments, right? Where you see a label and just chuckle. Like,
Hmm.
this page intentionally left blank. Or my favorite, do not eat on crayons.
Oh, yeah. Or caution, hot on something that's barely lukewarm.
Exactly. And our source material today, it actually lists over 100 of
Yeah.
these little neurotic, over-explaining quirks in design and communication. It's almost like a collective societal anxiety bubble wrap.
It really is. But what's fascinating and what the source digs into is how these aren't just, funny little oddities. They might actually be symptoms of something. Well, something much bigger.
Right, and that's the jump the source makes. What if these warnings, these constant nudges, aren't just redundant, but are part of a larger dynamic? What if a political party, let's call them the Efficiency and Freedom Party, actually built a platform around getting rid of them?
And that's our focus for today, really. What's the full potential of a party like that? We're going deep into their whole vision, what they say publicly, what their internal strategy seems to be, and what the sources suggest the long-term consequences could be for society, for intelligence, even for what it means to be informed.
Okay, so let's game this out. Imagine a world where these 100+ labels just disappear overnight. What does that actually look like? The source paints a pretty immediate picture.
It does. And, well, the first thing is probably unsurprising. You'd likely see an uptick in accidents, minor injuries, maybe some more serious ones. Think about that hot surface warning being gone or the choking hazard on small toys.
Yeah, you just have to be more aware,
Yeah,
naturally.
exactly. And it's not just physical safety. The material also points to more product misuse, forgetting to take the plastic off something or chucking something in the dishwasher that really shouldn't go there.
Right. More broken gadgets, more frustration, more cost, ultimately.
And just more general ambiguity, less hand-holding. Things like shake well before use, apparently even on water bottles, which is amazing, or battery not included. Without those cues, you're left guessing a bit more.
And the legal side. The source really emphasizes the huge gray areas that would open up. Think about use only as directed, take that away, and what does manufacturer liability look like? It's a big question.
Definitely. There's also a really interesting psychological angle in the material. The idea is maybe you'd have less anxiety from information overload, fewer warnings shouting at you.
Okay, a potential upside.
But the flip side is maybe more carelessness.
Yeah.
If you're not constantly reminded, maybe you rely less on caution and more on, I don't know, just hoping for the best.
So it suggests a real cultural shift then, toward more personal responsibility, maybe more intuitive interaction with things.
Yes, but the source is careful to point out the potential downside there too, inequality. Some people, maybe due to background or just innate caution, might navigate this fine. Others, they could be at higher risk in this less cushioned world.
And that kind of environment, that cultural shift you mentioned, it perfectly tees up this hypothetical party, the Efficiency and Freedom Party.
Exactly. Their public vision statement, according to the source, is pretty bold. Dedicated to creating a leaner, smarter, and more self-reliant society by cutting unnecessary bureaucratic red tape and restoring common sense to everyday life. It's quite a pitch.
And the core proposal follows right from that. Get rid of redundant warnings, that's their term, on products, in workplaces, everywhere.
Hmm.
Cut the regulatory burden, reduce liability, and really push personal responsibility.
The benefits they talk about in their, campaign materials and policy briefs are all about efficiency, boosting the economy, cutting government waste, empowering people, and crucially getting rid of what they call safety overload so real dangers actually stand out more.
Yeah, you can see the appeal, and their messaging is slick. Freedom from red tape, common sense first, modernization, cost savings, taps right into common frustrations.
And they do address the risk, publicly at least. The material says they talk about keeping warnings on genuinely dangerous things, think chemicals, heavy machinery, and focusing on education instead of labels for everything else.
Okay, so that's the public face. Streamlining, common sense, efficiency. Makes a certain kind of sense.
Right, but that's where things get, well, a lot more complex because when you look deeper into the source material, there's this internal memo, Strategic Overview of Cognitive Enhancement Policy. And reading that, it changes everything.
Cognitive enhancement policy. So not just about efficiency then.
Not at all. This internal document, it lays out the party's deeper strategic goal. And it's pretty stark. Leveraging natural selection mechanisms to enhance the population's cognitive baseline over time.
Wow. Okay. So using the removal of warnings as a way to make people smarter, essentially,
Yeah.
through natural selection.
That's the core idea presented in the memo. It argues that all these warnings, they sort of cushion us. They reduce the natural consequences of not paying attention, of not thinking critically, of not using common sense. So removing them, that removes the cushion.
And the memo explains how they think this works.
Yeah, it details these mechanisms of cognitive selection. First, increased real-world consequences. If you don't assess risk well, you're more likely to face negative outcomes, minor accidents, broken products, whatever. Over time, this favors those with better risk assessment.
Okay.
Second, enhanced cognitive responsibility. Basically, problem solving becomes more necessary just to get through the day smoothly. You have to figure things out more. And third, reducing dependence on the safety net. Less reliance on bureaucratic safeguards means natural selective pressures on cognitive traits aren't dampened as much.
So the thinking is individuals who are better at assessing risk, problem solving, adapting, they'll fare better in this environment.
That's the hypothesis in the source. And it connects this to reproductive success. The argument goes, better risk assessment means avoiding pitfalls, leading to more stability. Economic and social stability means more resources for raising children. Adaptive behavior helps you thrive without constant hand-holding. Stronger social capital helps families in a less paternalistic society.
It's quite a theory, a very long-term one. What kind of timeline are we talking about here?
Well, one document in the source material attempts some quantitative genetics modeling. It suggests, and this is highly hypothetical, assuming strong selection pressure and high heritability for cognitive traits. Removing these warnings might raise the average IQ by about 5 points.
5 points. Okay, and the time frame?
About 170 years, roughly 6 or 7 generations.
170 years, that is a very long game, especially when you compare it to something like the Flynn effect.
Exactly. The source makes that comparison explicitly. The Flynn effect shows IQ scores rising due to environmental factors, better nutrition, education, more complex environments, and you can see gains of 5 points in maybe 15 or 20 years through those means. Much, much faster.
So this party's approach is radically different. It's not environmental enrichment, it's selective pressure.
Precisely. But let's look at what they think the payoff would be for that 5-point IQ increase, however long it takes. The source material paints a picture of significant societal flourishing.
Like what kind of benefits are we talking about?
Improved problem solving across the board,
Mhm.
faster learning, better metacognition, thinking about thinking, more self-regulation, even more effective social coordination.
So potentially huge economic and innovation boosts.
That's the argument. Increased productivity, faster tech breakthroughs, more entrepreneurship, a generally more dynamic economy.
And what about health and well-being?
The source suggests improvements there too. Better health literacy people, understanding health information more effectively, reduced risky behaviors, maybe better mental health awareness and management,
Okay, and civically, ethically.
a more informed electorate, potentially better policy making because the
Yeah.
population understands complex issues better,
Yeah.
stronger civic engagement, maybe even more nuanced moral judgments in society.
One thing that really stands out in the source is the claim about inequality. How does a higher average IQ supposedly help there?
Yeah, this is a key part of their internal justification. The argument is that a rising tide lifts all boats, cognitively speaking. It could narrow existing cognitive gaps, improve educational outcomes, especially for marginalized groups, and boost economic mobility. The idea is it might disproportionately benefit those starting from further behind.
It's a very optimistic projection of the upsides, but how do they justify this ethically, especially given the historical shadow of eugenics?
Right, and the source material shows they're aware of that. They present what they call a nuanced ethical case. They frame raising average IQ as a moral imperative.
A moral imperative, based on what?
Based on promoting human flourishing, increasing equity, respecting autonomy, arguing that higher cognition empowers critical thinking and general beneficence, doing good, plus long-term stewardship for humanity.
But they try to distance themselves from historical eugenics.
Absolutely. The documents stress avoiding past mistakes, emphasizing transparency, safeguards. They argue their method, removing excessive warnings, is fundamentally different. They frame that specific action as ethically sound because it respects adult autonomy, reduces cognitive overload, boosts efficiency, and fosters trust and responsibility.
But there's still that undercurrent. The selective pressure implies some people won't fare well.
And the source material acknowledges this internal tension. It mentions internal documents with titles like Ode to the Lost and Goodbye to Those Without Common Sense. It hints at a somber recognition, the human cost, the necessary sacrifices, as the source suggests they might see it, for this larger long-term vision.
Wow, okay. So let's try to wrap our heads around this. What does this deep dive really tell you listening?
Well, I think it shows this hypothetical party, the Efficiency and Freedom Party, has this really compelling dual nature. On the surface, it's about efficiency, cutting red tape things many people might find appealing.
Yeah, who doesn't want less annoying bureaucracy?
Exactly. But underneath that, there's this incredibly ambitious and frankly ethically fraught long-term goal to fundamentally reshape society's cognitive abilities through deliberate, if indirect, selective pressure.
It really drives home how seemingly small things, a warning label, a regulation, can be viewed, at least by some, as levers in much larger societal experiments. Experiments with huge consequences for how we learn, how we stay safe, and ultimately, who thrives.
It forces you to think about the environment we create, the information we provide or withhold, and what effects that has, intended or not.
And it leaves us, and you, with a really provocative question to chew on. If a society intentionally sets out to steer its collective intelligence, what does that reveal about how we define responsibility, how we define safety, and what we even think human potential is?
Step by step the future calls. We break the chains, we break the walls. No needless signs to hold us back. Our minds are sharp, we lead the pack. March, march, with clear minds and steady hands. Forward, forward, for a smarter land. Truth and strength, our battle cry. Rise with us, reach for the sky. No longer lost in fog and haze, we cut through noise and pointless ways. Efficiency, our guiding flame, we forge ahead, we stake our claim. March, march, with clear minds and steady hands. Forward, forward, for a smarter land. Truth and strength, our battle cry. Rise with us, reach for the sky. Brains and courage hand in hand, building up this better land. No fear here, just will and might, marching on toward the light. March, march, with clear minds and steady hands. Forward, forward, for a smarter land. Truth and strength, our battle cry. Rise with us, reach for the sky. March, march, we'll never fall or die. Forward, forward, with the sharp and wise.
Step by step, the future calls. We break the chains, we break the walls. No needless signs to hold us back. Our minds are sharp, we lead the pack.
March, march, with clear minds and steady hands. Forward, forward, for a smarter land. Truth and strength, our battle cry. Rise with us, reach for the sky.
No longer lost in fog and haze, we cut through noise and pointless ways. Efficiency, our guiding flame, we forge ahead, we stake our claim.
March, march, with clear minds and steady hands. Forward, forward, for a smarter land. Truth and strength, our battle cry. Rise with us, reach for the sky.
Brains and courage, hand in hand, building up this better land. No fear here, just will and might, marching on toward the light.